Hey everyone, James Rath here. So this week I wanted to just sit down in front of the camera and talk about a specific topic. This video is in response to a comment I got previously. This is not going to be scripted or anything, so I'm just going to kind of reply, but I'm going to have Siri read this comment and I'm going to kind of respond as we move along. So this video is on the topic of brand loyalty. Specifically, this comment really accuses me of not being open to other companies or products and stuff other than what I primarily show, and I'm going to address all that in this video. So let's just hop into the comment here. Siri, if you don't mind reading that for
James,
me.
I've watched many of your videos and I know that you claim to promote accessibility. However, it's clear that you are an Apple fan and seem to disregard all other accessible options not Apple. Perhaps you should set aside your prejudices and expand your knowledge. Then you would be in a better position to give well-rounded advice. Even in this video, you talk about using a smartphone as a video camera, which is an excellent idea. However, you continually give the impression that the iPhone is the only choice. You never once mentioned an Android phone as an option. Truth.
I'll pause right there and sort of respond to that. Am I an Apple fan? Yeah, I use their products a lot. And I made a whole video called How Apple Saved My Life, and the reasoning behind that is at the time, products that I own that were accessible to me and that allowed me to do what I needed to do were all Apple products. Originally the video was going to be how technology saved my life, but, you know, spun it because it was all Apple products at the time. Yeah, in the video I talked about cameras that I use. This channel is called James Rath. It's not called Blind Community. It's called James Rath because it's about my experience. It's about what I use, what I need, and how I personally tackle experiences. And to do filmmaking, I will use anything from an iPhone all the way to a Blackmagic cinema camera. Yes, there are other options. You can use any smartphone. You can use, heck, if you wanted to record a video on a flip camera. So the reason why I talk about iPhone is because that's what I've recorded on. Do I own other products besides iPhone? Well, look what I got here. This is my own personal Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. Here, my fingerprint, it works, there we go, now it worked. I own an Android phone. This is actually my first Android phone since the first Galaxy. And I had Android before I had iPhone, believe it or not. The reason why I went to iPhone was because I owned the Samsung Fascinate on Verizon at the time. And this is the first generation Galaxy. It left a very bad taste in my mouth of what Android was. Lack of updates, it was lack of accessibility. Had some hardware issues on mine, had to replace it a couple times. It was a beautiful design phone, especially at the time, like we're talking 2011, and the 4-inch Fascinate display was great at that time. Camera shot like 720p, but it had a lot of software, a lot of buggy issues, and it came down to my experience. I couldn't really see it too well. There wasn't a whole lot of accessibility available on Android at the time. It was there. There was some stuff there, but a lot of these Android manufacturers like to put their own skins and their own software. At the time, a lot of that just was not accessible. I own an S8 Plus because I've heard good things about it, and I wanted an Android phone just to have as a secondary device. I always carry two phones with me. I carry an iPhone, sometimes a secondary iPhone, or my S8 Plus. And that's because, you know, for emergencies, if I need a backup phone, though I do have my Apple Watch, it's LTE now, so that's kind of nice, but I always have a backup device. So in short, to sort of just answer that one part of your comment, yes, I own other devices. I recommended iPhone at the time because that's what I mainly use. It's what I've shot on. So let's continue your comment here.
Told Android has consistently had a better selection of cameras than iOS, not to mention the fact that they offer a
That's arguable. Go on.
much wider range of hardware and software features as well as pricing.
So features, there are so many different apps that I use Filmic Pro on iPhone. It lets me have all these manual camera options on the iPhone. And yes, there's a lot of Android phones that have cameras that have unique features to them depending on the manufacturer. Not to say that iPhone's native camera app offers more, but what I'm saying is you have options on both sides. I'm comfortable using the camera app and the Filmic Pro app on iPhone.
Something that should be taken into consideration when the visually impaired community has consistently seen a 75% unemployment rate. Remember, not all of your audience can live in California and afford to buy thousands of dollars worth of camera equipment and Apple products.
To respond to that, I work for a lot of the stuff that I have. It's a job. I mean, filmmaking is a passion of mine, so it's something I heavily invest in over the years. I mean, I bought the Blackmagic camera working my ass off in high school. having a part-time job and saving up $4,000 to buy a cinema camera. Not saying you need to do that, you don't. To say that Android has a lot more flexibility when it comes to pricing, yes. I mean, it's an open source operating system. It's open to any manufacturer who wants to license it and put it on their phone. In fact, I think I've seen like a $4 smartphone. The fact that, yes, Android is a little bit more accessible when it comes to pricing, sure. If you want to get a new iPhone, it starts at like $350 for the SE, which is still a fantastic phone, even in 2017. So iPhones aren't exclusive to this $1,000 device right here in my hand. You don't need to get an iPhone 10 if you want to shoot with an iPhone. I mean, I shot a lot of videos with my iPhone 6S. Yes, you're right when it comes to there are more manufacturers for Android, more different cameras to use, and there's some really good cameras out there. Pixel 2, we're talking even the S8 that I use. You know, I play with a camera on it. It's a good camera. I was sort of referring to most accessible cameras. I really am still testing the S8 when it comes to how accessible the camera is. That's why I didn't mention it in that video, because I have had more experience with the iPhone. You can use a smartphone in general for filming. 70% of blind smartphone users are statistically using an iOS device. With or without a job, iPhones can be pretty affordable even at the SE price, or if you go refurbished. I've bought refurbished phones from Apple before, never had a problem. Let's get back to your comment though.
One thing I will agree with you on is the fact that Windows Narrator is crap. But luckily that's not...
Never said Windows Narrator was crap. Don't put words into my mouth here. Look, I use a Mac. Yes, I've used Mac since 2009. And frankly, it's because it enables me to do what I need to do. I used to edit 2 inches from my face on a Windows machine on Sony Vegas, and it was difficult. I mean, I still loved what I did, so I struggled through it. Yes, magnifier is a thing, and magnifier isn't bad, but when it comes to zoom on Mac and multi-touch, you can't compare the two. Zoom is more integrated into the OS, magnifier is a separate application. I used to use Zoom Text, and I know you're about to mention Zoom Text in your comment. Zoom Text was great, it was good, it was a great screen reader and a magnifier on Windows. I'm not saying there's no options out there for Windows. If you use Windows, I had to use Windows for like a week this past summer for a video project, and it was a lot to adjust to because I was using magnifier with it, but it worked. It's fine. I have Windows installed on my MacBook Pro, so I don't say I don't use Windows. I do, just not as my primary OS. And the guys over at Microsoft, they're doing incredible things when it comes to accessibility in terms of offering employment to some of the new innovative software that they're working on, like Seeing AI, which is one of my favorite accessibility apps of all time. Ironically, it's on iPhone. Microsoft is doing great things. The Microsoft accessibility team on Twitter, they're always active and easy to reach. I do appreciate what Microsoft is doing and continue to follow their work. So
not the only option. If someone needs a full-fledged screen reader, NVDA is a free and open source solution.
Cool.
Or there's JAWS, or Magic,
Yep.
or Window Eyes, or Zoom Text.
Like
All of these work wonderfully. I've tried working on a Mac and got so frustrated with the accessibility that I wanted to throw it out the window. The fact that I had to have a sighted person go into the settings to turn on the accessibility for me was ridiculous.
Obviously, you weren't prepared then. Even I showed in my last video, you can set up an iPhone 10 without ever needing a sighted person to do it for you. Being legally blind, I can set this up right from the start with no assistance. Just gotta triple tap the side button here. You just gotta know the key command if you need to Google it or call Apple support. So on Mac, you just press Command F5, brings up the accessibility options right there, and it narrates it for you. So it tells you, hey, press this to turn on VoiceOver, press this to enable Zoom. I don't think you were set up and you were prepared to use a Mac at the time. Believe me, the first time I used Mac from being a Windows user my entire life, I got very frustrated. It was something new. It was something unique, something I wasn't adjusted to. And again, my personal experience, maybe not yours. And if you don't want to try it again, okay. I'm always open to using Android or Windows and continuously try it like every year to see what's new and if something is going to entice me to move over. I mean, the thing is I edit on Final Cut, Apple software, which they also make accessible with VoiceOver and Zoom just fine. So it's a little harder for me to get out of the Apple ecosystem because of my profession and what I do. It doesn't mean I'm not paying attention to what others are doing. It's just what I use works really well for me. Let's continue.
On my Windows PC, I just tap the Start and Plus keys and the magnifier pops on.
Cool.
Intuitive and easy. I would put my very accessible Windows 10 PC with a 32-inch monitor up against an iMac anytime.
Got this bad boy back here, but I'm not looking to battle. I'm not looking to create a fanboy war. That's not what this is about. This is about use what works for you. You know, I'm not telling you you need to go buy a 27-inch iMac just to use a computer. If you can work on a $100 Windows laptop, great. If you can work on a $999 brand new MacBook Air, awesome. If you want to use an iPad Pro as your computer, cool. No one's telling you how to use your device or that one is better than the other.
What frustrates me is your arrogance. The fact that you think mobile accessibility can only be accomplished with Apple products is infuriating.
Not true. You're just putting words into my mouth again. Because I primarily showcase Apple products, because again, that's what I use. Again, this channel, it's called James Rath. It's not called the entire blind community. I don't speak for everyone else. I speak for myself and my experience. If people want to learn something from that, great. If they want to compare that to what they're using, and if it works better, if it works worse for them, their situation, figure that out. That's great. Brand loyalty, it's more so I'm invested in the Apple ecosystem, so it's more power to me when I'm using Apple products like AirPods, the Apple Watch. When you're heavily invested in the Google ecosystem, for example, more power to you. You know, you got Google Photos, unlimited photo storage on like the Pixel 2. That's awesome. I mean, I use Google Gmail, Drive, all that stuff. I also use iCloud. I use them for different things. For me, iCloud Drive works great when I'm trying to share files with myself amongst my devices that I work on locally and on my own account. But when I'm using more collaborative tools with others, Google Drive looks great. So again, I'm sort of getting invested for different things in the Google ecosystem, but I'm also, for personal and professional reasons, heavily invested in the Apple ecosystem. So use what works for you. If what I mention and what I say works for me doesn't work for you, that's fine. Find something that does, you know? I don't want you to be limited by what I offer or what I'm suggesting or what I'm sharing my experiences of. So lastly,
in my opinion, you're a terrible role model for the visually impaired community.
Well, personally, I don't see it.
If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to check out the video that's generated just for you on screen. And if you want to support me in what I do, check out my Patreon down below. Thank you guys, and I will hear you next time. Bye.